Let me speak to the man who is tired of waiting, tired of watching others rise while he remains buried in good intentions, tired of setting goals and watching them dissolve in silence. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. But you have violated certain laws, laws so precise, so spiritual in nature that not even prayer can override them. If you have struggled not once, not twice, but over and over again, if you have built and watched it fall, planned and seen it delay, worked and seen no reward, then listen carefully, for what you are about to hear may be the most important correction your soul has ever received. I will not speak to you of positive thinking alone. I will not speak of talent or luck or charm. I will speak to you of 7 invisible sins, thought patterns, mental conditions, emotional diseases that drive wealth from your presence, even while you cry out for it. Most men fail not from lack of effort, but from internal disorder. They live outwardly ambitious and inwardly divided. They chase success while secretly housing the very thoughts that repel it. And so riches do not come, not because riches are unavailable, but because the man is unprepared. But here is the truth. If you will eliminate these 7 spiritual parasites from your daily thought, you will begin to see what few ever do. You will feel yourself rising with purpose. You will feel your actions becoming magnetic. You will see doors open, not because of luck, but because your entire being will be aligned with the law of increase. If you obey what I am about to give you, your mind will become a command center. Your word will begin to hold power. Your plans will no longer wither in doubt. You will attract opportunity because you will finally deserve it. You will move through life with certainty. You will walk into meetings with unshakable calm. Your children will look at you and say, "That is my father. That is my mother. That is the one who decided to rise." You will have the home, not just in brick and stone, but in peace and prosperity. You will no longer fear bills, fear lack, fear the future. You will walk through trial with dignity and direction, because your mind will no longer bow to inner enemies. You will no longer be the man who starts and stops, who dreams and doubts. You will be the finisher, the fulfiller, the one who took dominion over the unseen. And what does this require? Not more talent, not more hours, not some magical secret. It requires one thing only, that you strip your mind of these 7 poisons, root them out like weeds, and replace them with laws that bless, that multiply, that build. But I must warn you, if you listen casually, if you skip ahead, if you say, "I've heard this before," you will miss it. And you will keep what you have now: poverty of peace, poverty of clarity, poverty of power. So I say to you now, do not just listen, submit. Listen as if your life depends on it, because in truth, it does. For the man who removes all 7 of these sins will become unrecognizable to the man he used to be. He will not have to chase wealth. He will become the kind of man to whom wealth is assigned. Play this once, and the idea will be born. Play it again, and the belief will deepen. Play it daily, and the new mind will form. These are not just ideas. These are weapons. These are laws, and they are yours if you obey. Now let us begin. Part 1, the sin of doubt, the poison that blocks all blessing. Doubt is the first sin that must be destroyed, for it is the root that strangles all growth. The man who doubts is not just uncertain. He is spiritually paralyzed. He holds a vision in one hand and denial in the other. He asks for blessings while expecting rejection. He walks forward with one foot on the brake. Such a man does not build. He waits. And in waiting, he begins to rot. He speaks as though he believes, but in his quiet moments, he rehearses failure. He talks of faith, but he prepares for disappointment. He reads about riches, but he imagines bankruptcy. He sows hesitation and then curses the harvest. But no man reaps certainty from a mind divided against itself. Understand me now. Doubt is not a passive thought. It is a spiritual crime. It insults infinite intelligence. It denies the laws that govern all increase. It says, "I do not believe that good is meant for me." And God does not give riches to a man who refuses to believe he was born to receive them. Doubt is spiritual hesitation. It is the wobble in the will, the crack in the conviction. It makes a man say, perhaps, when he should say, I will. It makes him consult conditions instead of commanding them. It makes him delay, defer, diminish, until what once burned now flickers, and a flicker cannot build. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. He speaks two languages, faith and fear, and his subconscious mind does not know which to obey. One day he declares, I shall become rich. The next day he whispers, but what if I fail? So the subconscious hears both prayers and grants him both. Temporary motion followed by sudden reversal. Progress canceled by fear. And yet this sin is so seductive because it wears the robes of caution. It disguises itself as logic. It parades as reason. Let me wait and see. Let me get more proof. Let me study the conditions. But I tell you now, those who wait for conditions will wait until the grave. The man of faith sees conditions for what they are, clay, not stone, things to be shaped, not submitted to. He does not wait for the river to stop flowing. He builds a bridge. He does not wait for the sun to shine. He lights a fire. He believes first. He acts while others ponder. He begins when others delay. And because of this, he receives the reward. Andrew Carnegie believed in organized steel before the world believed in machines. Henry Ford believed in making a car for the working man before the factories could afford it. Thomas Edison believed in lighting the world with wires while people still lit candles. They all saw nothing and believed in something, and because of that belief, the something came. Their faith was not shallow enthusiasm, it was a fixed knowing, a deliberate instruction repeated daily to the subconscious mind until no other outcome was imaginable. And their minds obeyed, their hands obeyed, their circumstances obeyed. Faith is spiritual currency. It purchases all things unseen. It is the medium through which blessings flow. It is the bridge between prayer and possession. And doubt is the closed gate, the broken pipe, the silent servant. You cannot receive with a clenched fist. You cannot hold wealth with a hand that trembles. Faith, I once wrote, is the eternal elixir. It gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Without faith, thought is sterile, action is aimless, speech is noise. But with faith, even a small idea becomes unstoppable. Even a man born in poverty becomes a king in industry. And yet, most men sabotage their own faith, not by open rejection, but by casual indulgence in doubt. They say they want to believe, but they speak doubt aloud. They say they're committed, but they prepare for failure. They study success, but they rehearse excuses. They say, I will build a business, Bini, but secretly ask, what if I lose money? They say, I want to become rich, but imagine what others will think if they fail. They speak two voices, and the subconscious obeys the stronger one. And almost always the stronger one is the fear that was repeated more. Do you understand what this means? It means that every doubt you tolerate becomes a delay. Every fear you feed becomes a fence. Every time you say, I'm not sure, your mind hears stop. And every time you think failure, you begin to breathe it. So I tell you now, destroy doubt completely. Do not reason with it. Do not negotiate. Do not analyze it. Doubt is not to be studied. Doubt is to be burned. You must speak against it with fire. You must declare, this is my aim. I will achieve it. There is no other path. There is no other voice. There is no other outcome. And if you feel weakness rise, do not let it speak. Overpower it with word and motion. Faith is a muscle. It grows by use. Each time you act in belief, that muscle strengthens. Each time you speak your aim aloud, you send a message to heaven and to your subconscious. This man is serious. God is not withholding. The law is not broken. You are not being punished. But if you hold doubt like a child, if you pet it and protect it, if you speak it and feed it, then you have made a god of your fear, and no man can serve two masters. I ask you now, have you prayed for riches while secretly imagining ruin? Have you spoken of success while inwardly doubting your worth? Have you planned for growth while fearing criticism? Then you have committed the sin of doubt, and until it is destroyed, no riches will come. But the moment you declare war on doubt, truly declare it, you will feel a new power enter your spirit. You will feel direction return. Your speech will become clear. Your vision will sharpen, and your actions will begin to stick. Because now you are no longer divided. You are whole. Repeat this affirmation with me now, not as a whisper, but as a vow. I believe in my aim. I believe in the law. I believe in God's desire to bless. I destroy all doubt. Say it again and again until your voice becomes your identity, until the lie can no longer live in your body, until the only sound your spirit knows is certainty, because you were not born to doubt, you were born to build. Part 2, the sin of envy, the thought that cancels your inheritance. The second sin, and perhaps the most poisonous of all to the subconscious mind, is envy. For it is envy that whispers to the man, "That should have been you," instead of asking, "What must I become?" Envy turns the sight of another man's success into your own inner sickness. It creates internal war where there should be instruction. You were not born to envy. A child does not resent another child for standing. He does not curse another for walking. But as man grows into habit and ego, he forgets the law of creation and begins to feel as though another's rise is his own fall. This is not spiritual. This is sickness of thought. God does not bless one man by taking from another. The riches of life are not limited. If another man has earned success, it does not mean you have lost the opportunity. But if you allow envy to live in your thought, you will block your own inheritance, not because God has removed it, but because you have refused to receive it. Envy weakens the soul. It kills creative power. It does not inspire action. It breeds bitterness. The man who envies another does not rise to meet him. He curses from the shadows and calls his failure justice. He says he only succeeded because he had help, or he got lucky. And with every word, his subconscious receives the message, we do not respect success, and therefore we cannot build it. Let me speak plainly. Envy is self-cancellation. It trains the subconscious mind to fear success, to resent achievement, to avoid prosperity. Because if you hate what you admire, your mind will never allow you to become what you secretly curse. Cain looked at Abel's offering and felt rejection instead of correction. He could have learned, changed, and pleased the Creator. But envy hardened his heart. It turned him into a destroyer. And what did he destroy? Not just Abel, but the future that could have been his. Contrast this with the mind of a builder. When a man sees another rise, he studies him. He does not speak against him. He draws from him. He does not resent his fortune. He extracts the formula. He says, "What must I adopt in my own character to achieve the same?" This is not flattery. This is accurate thinking. Henry Ford studied industry with the eye of admiration. He did not envy the titans of steel. He watched them, learned from them, and then surpassed them. Andrew Carnegie, in his youth, wrote down the words and actions of powerful men he worked around, not with resentment, but with reverence. They were not rivals, they were blueprints. Every man you envy should become your mirror. What do they do that you do not? What thoughts have they repeated that you have not? What disciplines have they installed while you were excusing? What focus have they kept while you were drifting? If another man has achieved what you desire, that is not your competition. That is your confirmation. That is the proof that what you seek is possible. But if you envy him, if you speak against him, if you reduce him in your thoughts to protect your pride, you have not hurt him. You have hurt yourself. You have built a ceiling over your own subconscious mind. Remember this. The subconscious accepts only what you honor. It obeys what you elevate. And if you spit upon success, you have forbidden it to enter your own house. You cannot call blessings into your life while cursing the men who carry them. Envy says, there is not enough, but the law says, there is increase without end. Envy says, he took my place, but purpose says, no man can take what is yours if you are willing to build it. Envy says, he doesn't deserve it. But law says, every man receives according to his habits of thought. Let me ask you plainly, have you felt bitterness when you saw another man rise? Have you excused your stagnation by accusing others of advantage? Have you whispered against the rich while secretly wishing to become one? Then you have envied, and you must now burn it, root and all. For it is written, where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. And in my own doctrine I say, envy is the destroyer of originality. A mind filled with envy cannot create. It cannot focus. It cannot receive. The man of faith, however, speaks differently. He sees success and rejoices. He says, good. This is proof of the law. He examines greatness like an engineer examines steel. He breaks it down. He builds upon it. He blesses the one who succeeded and then returns to his aim with greater intensity. This is the mind God blesses, not the one who whispers, but the one who watches and works, not the one who accuses, but the one who adapts, not the one who scorns, but the one who studies. If you wish to rise, you must rejoice when you see what you seek in another. This is not passive tolerance. This is mental mastery. This is the discipline of the builder. And when you train your mind to admire, extract, and apply, you begin to move with the spirit of multiplication. So I command you now, reject all envy. Remove it from your speech, your jokes, your private thoughts. Refuse to participate in the social games of resentment and mockery. You are not a child. You are a builder. And builders do not envy. They rise. Let this be your declaration, spoken aloud until it becomes your soul. I admire greatness. I extract lessons. I celebrate success. I reject all poison of envy. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your thoughts shift. Say it until another man's fortune becomes your fuel instead of your frustration. Say it until the law begins to bless you with the very abundance you once envied. For the moment you eliminate envy, you clear a channel. You allow infinite intelligence to flow freely. And once you celebrate success in another, you begin to attract it in yourself. This is not suggestion. This is not inspiration. This is law. Part 3, the sin of indecision, the silent killer of fortune. Indecision is a slow poison. It does not kill with one blow. It eats a man's future with 100 silent delays. It is the disease of the double-minded, the great lie of comfort, the great robber of riches. While one man acts, another man waits. And when the waiting man finally decides, the opportunity has already chosen someone else. Understand me clearly. Indecision is a sin against your purpose. It is a crime of mind. For God cannot direct the man who refuses to move, and life cannot bless the man who will not choose a road. Most men fail, not from lack of ability, but because they stood at the fork and waited until both paths disappeared. Indecision is spiritual paralysis. It is a man who stares at the fruit but never reaches, a man who studies the soil but never plants, a man who builds plans but never starts. And he calls this wisdom. He says, I am still thinking, while his destiny rusts beneath his hesitation. But decision, real decision, is the beginning of all power. It is the soul's announcement to God and to life, I am ready. It is the clearing of the mind's fog. It is the builder's first strike. Nothing can begin until you decide, and nothing can grow until that decision is honored. You must understand this law. The subconscious mind only obeys clear, definite instructions. When you say, maybe, it hears nothing. When you say, let me wait, it delays all action. When you say, I'm unsure, it becomes still. The subconscious is a loyal servant, but it will not build unless you command. Carnegie chose his aim early. He decided to dominate steel, and from that decision came every connection, every idea, every plan. Schwab, his protege, did not beg for instructions. He acted with speed and certainty. His decisions were sharp, quick, final. That is why he rose to riches before most men even selected their goal. And Rockefeller, his wealth came not from luck or influence, but from quick, definite decision repeated over time. He decided what he wanted. He decided how to act. He decided again and again, even under pressure. He understood that to delay a decision is to invite decay. Now let us examine the man who waits. He sees the opportunity, but says, "Let me think a little longer." He feels the stirring of purpose, but says, "Let me pray on it." He hears the instruction, but says, "What if I'm wrong?" And so he trains his subconscious to distrust action. He teaches his spirit to bow to fear. And worse, he becomes addicted to the cycle of starting and stopping. He collects ideas but never builds them. He speaks of goals but never moves. He attends lectures but never commits. And all the while, his spirit is decaying, not from lack of inspiration, but from lack of decision. Do not confuse indecision with patience. Patience is the calm holding of a course. Indecision is the refusal to choose one. Patience waits in confidence. Indecision waits in fear. One is virtue. The other is destruction. Every great man I have ever studied shared one trait. They reached decisions promptly and changed them slowly. They did not poll the crowd. They did not consult the mood. They did not beg for permission. They listened to the inner voice of definite desire and acted. They trusted the law. Decision is a spiritual lever. When pulled with belief, it moves mountains. The man who decides with clarity unleashes unseen forces. Ideas find him, people support him, plans form around him. Why? Because life rewards the man who declares his direction. And yet, how many men drift through life without ever once making a true decision? They bounce from one job to the next, from one idea to another. They marry out of fear. They work out of necessity. They sleep in uncertainty, and still they wonder why they do not rise. Let me speak with fire. Every day you delay your decision is a day you hand your future to the winds. And the winds do not care about your dreams. They blow in every direction. They scatter your focus. They waste your energy, and they leave you in the same place you started. And so I ask you, what have you failed to decide? Have you declared your definite chief aim? Have you chosen your goal? Have you written it, spoken it, owned it? Or are you still waiting for something outside yourself to approve? If you are waiting, then you are sinning against your own success. You are not lost. You are idle. You are not lacking. You are hesitating. And life does not reward hesitation. It rewards the bold. There is no fortune without decision. There is no power without direction. There is no faith without movement. You must fix your mind like a compass. You must choose your aim and guard it like a king guards his crown. This is your correction. This is your revival. Choose, decide, and act. Let the world adjust to your command. Let your own mind adjust to your authority. Let your life begin to reflect the order that decision brings. And repeat after me, aloud and without hesitation. I decide with clarity. I act with speed. I build with faith. I destroy hesitation. Say it now, again and again, until the words are not spoken, they are lived, until the sin of indecision is dead. And in its place stands the man who chooses, who acts, who builds, the man who is no longer waiting. Part 4, the sin of complaint, the tongue that curses its owner. Complaint is not merely a habit, it is a curse that a man speaks over his own life. It is the loudest proof that his mind has drifted from creative power to destructive impotence. The man who complains becomes the architect of his own downfall, brick by brick, word by word, thought by poisonous thought. Every time a man complains, he reveals what he worships: weakness, injustice, limitation, misfortune. He speaks as if he has no hand in his own condition. He uses his mouth to echo his problems instead of to command solutions. His words become prayers for more failure, and the law does not delay in answering them. You must understand that the subconscious mind hears emotion and repetition, not intention. When you complain, even in jest, even in sarcasm, even to get it off your chest, you are giving spiritual instruction to your innermost self. This is my truth. This is my identity. This is what I want more of. The man who complains about his boss will never become one. The man who curses wealth will never hold it. The man who speaks of lack will always find it. For complaint is a magnet, a broadcast signal of weakness, and weakness draws more weakness to itself. I have never once known a truly successful man who made complaint his companion. Not one. Carnegie did not complain when the market turned against him. He reinvested. Ford did not complain when others mocked his vision. He kept building. Edison did not complain when his light bulb failed 1,000 times. He said, "Now I know 1,000 ways not to do it." But look around you. How many men today speak only of politics, taxes, failure, injustice, and competition? How many curse the economy, curse their neighbors, curse their employer, curse their body, curse their youth, curse their age, curse the world? And they wonder why life seems to ignore them. But life is not ignoring them. Life is obeying them. I say this to you with absolute clarity. Every complaint is a command, and every complaint is answered, not by God, but by the subconscious mind that you, and only you, instruct daily with your words. You speak poverty, you live poverty. You speak delay, you walk in delay. You speak confusion, and the path becomes fog. The spiritual law is simple. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and you have used your tongue not to plant, but to scorch the field before you even tried to sow. You have used it not to build, but to broadcast fear and failure into the ears of your own mind. But let us now expose complaint fully. What is it? It is an attempt to be comforted in weakness. It is a search for sympathy, not solutions. It is the cry of a man who has not yet decided to rise. And it is dangerous, not because it vents emotion, but because it builds identity. You cannot speak like a victim and live like a victor. You cannot say, everything is wrong, and expect right to appear. The subconscious obeys tone and tempo. It believes the repeated voice. It acts without judgment. And if your dominant speech is complaint, then your dominant experience will be limitation. Now hear this. You must go silent before you speak poison again. You must train your tongue as a soldier trains his weapon. Speak only that which builds. Speak only that which you intend to attract. Speak only that which would be worthy of becoming your future. Do not speak of sickness. Do not speak of enemies. Do not speak of offense. Do not speak of what they did, or how unfair, or how late, or how hard. Speak of your chief aim. Speak of your definite desire. Speak of what you are building. Speak of what you intend to receive. The man who does this walks in power. His words become fire. His thoughts become gold. His environment begins to reflect the strength of his voice. He does not apologize for circumstances. He commands new ones. And because his words are law to his own mind, his mind begins to instruct his body, his habits, and his future accordingly. If you truly desire wealth, you must stop narrating your misfortune. The mind is not neutral, it is directional. And the more you speak of the past, the more you invite it forward. The more you curse the present, the more you tie yourself to it. And the more you attack others, the more you poison the only builder you have, yourself. There is a reason every successful man I have ever studied had a discipline of speech. They were not careless. They did not speak failure. They were not loud in criticism. They were not generous with complaint. Their words were few. But when spoken, they were full of aim and faith and power. If a man does not guard his speech, he will lose the war before he even picks up the tools. The greatest builders in history spoke their future aloud before they ever touched stone. They understood the spiritual code. I say it until I see it. I declare it until it exists. I speak until my voice becomes reality. So I ask you now, what have you been speaking? Have you been narrating your limits? Have you been voicing your fears? Have you been mocking success, resenting others, describing in detail all that is wrong? Then you have not been harmless. You have been destructive, and the one you have destroyed is you. But there is a correction. There is a discipline. And it begins with this vow spoken aloud, not as a whisper, but as the new law of your mind. I speak only what builds. I curse no man. I declare power. I command favor. I invite only wealth. Say it now. Say it with fire. Say it until you catch yourself in the act of complaint and stop mid-sentence. Say it until your tongue begins to serve you, not sabotage you. Say it until every word becomes a weapon of blessing, not of defeat. For your words are seeds, your mind is the soil, and the future is the harvest. Speak carefully. Speak purposefully. Speak only what you are willing to multiply. And if you do, life will begin to obey. Part 5, the sin of fear, the master of all failure. Fear is the master sin, the great deceiver, the shadow that stands behind all failure. If you pull back the curtain on every man who drifts, who delays, who lives beneath his potential, you will find this same spirit hiding in his thoughts. It may wear different names: hesitation, prudence, logic, preparation, but underneath it all, it is fear. Fear does not shout. It whispers. It does not command. It suggests. It does not forbid. It causes you to forbid yourself. It says, be careful, when you must act boldly. It says, what if, when you must say, I will. It says, later, when you must say, now. And the man who listens to it becomes its servant. There are 6 basic fears, and I have studied them in thousands of men. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, the fear of death. These 6 are the ghosts that haunt the minds of men, not because they are real, but because they are allowed to speak. These ghosts have no substance. They have only the power that you assign them. And yet they ruin more lives than disease or war. Why? Because fear is internal. It attacks the root. It rewires the habit of thought. And if it is allowed to remain, it becomes identity. A man does not fail because of the market. He fails because he feared the market. A man does not collapse because of criticism. He collapses because he feared judgment and chose silence instead of speech. A man does not miss his calling because he lacked talent. He misses it because fear convinced him he had none. Do you not see? Fear is the great thief. It steals not only from your present, it robs your future. It keeps you quiet when you should speak. It keeps you still when you should move. It keeps you doubting when you should believe. And all the while, life passes by the man too timid to claim it. Carnegie said to me once, put your foot upon the neck of fear and press down until it can no longer rise. That is the only proper posture toward fear. Dominion, not negotiation, not explanation, not tolerance, domination. Abraham Lincoln received death threats before every major speech. Did he flinch? Number, he acted. Ford faced bankruptcy, ridicule, and sabotage. Did he stop? Number, he doubled down on faith and pushed forward with even greater will. These men feared nothing because they had already chosen who they would obey, and it was not fear. Let me speak a hard truth now. Many of you are waiting for fear to go away before you move. But fear does not leave until it is disobeyed. Fear is fed by obedience. Each time you hesitate, you reward it. Each time you listen, it grows. And each time you stop, it takes another inch of your destiny. So I give you this formula: simple, spiritual, and final. Desire plus faith plus action equals dominion. Let your desire burn hotter than your fear. Let your faith speak louder than your fear. And let your action move faster than your fear. That is the only path to freedom. You say, but I'm afraid. Good. That means you're human. But now decide. Will you be ruled by your birthright or your emotion? Will you let ghosts lead your life? Or will you seize it with the power of definite thought? Will you serve fear or will you serve God? Fear is not humility. It is rebellion against the law of your own power. You were not made to tremble. You were made to build. Infinite intelligence did not create you for timidity. It placed within you the seed of creation. And creation is not afraid. It speaks. It moves. It builds. So must you. Here is what I command you to do. Write down your fear, name it, speak it aloud, then burn it. Yes, burn it, and replace it immediately with a written declaration of the opposite. If you fear poverty, write, I am destined for abundance, and I act in faith. If you fear criticism, write, I serve only my purpose, not public opinion. Speak it aloud 10 times. Speak it until you feel it rise above the ghost. This is not a ritual for amusement. This is a spiritual act of replacement. The mind cannot hold both fear and faith as master. It must choose, and it will obey the voice you repeat most often. Fear is not overcome by thinking differently. It is overcome by speaking differently, acting differently, and obeying the law of boldness with daily repetition. If you wait until you feel courageous, you will wait until you are dead. But if you act with courage, courage will follow. So I say to you now, whatever you fear, move toward it. Speak against it, replace it, bury it. Your future waits on the other side of your obedience. And now say this aloud with full conviction. Let it be your daily armor. I fear nothing. I obey purpose. I act with faith. I serve no ghost. Say it until fear grows silent. Say it until your body walks before your mind has time to protest. Say it until God himself hears the sound of your rising and sends all power to meet your feet on the path. For the man who destroys fear does not merely live, he conquers. Part 6, the sin of sloth, the mind that refuses to move. Sloth is not simply laziness of the body, it is laziness of the mind. It is not the man who refuses to swing the hammer who fails. It is the man who refuses to build the plan. And this sin, more than any other, disguises itself as harmlessness. It calls itself rest. It calls itself calm. But underneath the stillness is decay. Sloth is the refusal to take possession of one's own life. It is the rejection of thought, the postponement of vision, the avoidance of discipline. It says, I'll think about it later. It says, that's too much to consider. It says, I'm not ready. But while it delays, life continues. And by the time sloth is ready, it is too late. Many men work hard in motion, yet are slothful in spirit. They rise early, labor long, but never take mental control of their day. They move without aim, sweat without vision, and wonder why success never appears. But labor without plan is noise without music. And God does not bless chaos, you must understand. God did not assign you to motion. He assigned you to mastery. And mastery begins in the mind. The man who thinks with clarity, who holds one definite aim, who disciplines his thought like a farmer disciplines his soil. That man will produce more in 1 year than the slothful man does in a lifetime. Sloth is the spiritual rot that comes from refusing to decide. It is the man who says, let me wait until the time is right, and never realizes that time obeys no man. It is the man who says, let me rest until I feel ready, and does not see that readiness comes from action, not the other way around. I have seen it in the lives of thousands. A man works faithfully, but never rules his thought. He obeys the clock, but never gives his mind a command. He labors, but never advances. He earns, but never builds. And at the end, he blames the world, never realizing that his defeat came not from lack of strength, but from lack of mental ownership. Think of the most powerful men you know, Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller. These men were not more fortunate. They were not more gifted, but they were less slothful in spirit. They woke not just to work, but to decide. They did not drift with emotion. They ruled with plan. Sloth shows itself in mental delay. You postpone the decision. You avoid the planning. You skip the writing. You delay the goal. You say, tomorrow I will organize. But tomorrow becomes a month, and a month becomes a year, and the year becomes a lifetime of explaining why it never happened. Action without thought is sloth, and thought without action is sloth. The man of discipline does both. He decides and he moves. He thinks and he builds. He does not wait to feel. He acts by will. You must rise now against this spiritual laziness. You must stop praising busyness and begin praising structure. You must stop admiring movement and begin admiring direction. The world does not reward energy. It rewards organized thought followed by definite action. Let us burn the lie that sloth is rest. Rest is sacred when it follows labor. But sloth sleeps in the middle of battle. Sloth lays down when faith calls you to rise. Sloth worships the bed, the thought of tomorrow. And while you rest, another man decides. And while you delay, another man builds. Now understand the law of applied faith. Faith is not belief alone. It is belief in motion. When you truly believe in your aim, you do not sit still. You rise, you move, you organize, you attack. Sloth is proof that belief has not yet been made real in the mind. So here is your test. Do you act when you don't feel like it? Do you build the plan before you begin the task? Do you rule your schedule, or does it rule you? Do you wake with intention, or do you wait for emotion? If you answer wrongly, then sloth still holds you, but you may now break it. The cure for sloth is not more emotion, it is more decision. Begin each day with the written word. This is what I shall accomplish. This is the aim I serve. This is the order I obey. Then act, without delay, without question, without slumber. Do not ask how you feel. Ask, what must I build? Do not ask how long it will take. Ask, what step must I take next? And above all, do not wait for the spark. Become the fire. And now repeat after me with strength. I move with purpose. I act with decision. I create with discipline. I never slumber in thought. Say it again. Say it until the yawn turns to fire. Say it until your body rises before the sun. Say it until your day is ruled by design, not by drift. For sloth is the enemy of kings, and you were not made to sleep. You were made to rule. Part 7, the sin of distraction, the thief of focus and wealth. Distraction is not harmless. It is not neutral. It is not a mere inconvenience. It is a spiritual thief. It steals your attention in small, silent pieces until nothing remains for the building of your fortune. Distraction does not ask for permission. It enters when the mind is not guarded. Distraction is not new, but today it has multiplied. The modern man faces more noise than his ancestors faced in war, and most men have surrendered. They do not hold their thought for 10 minutes without interruption. They begin one task and finish none. They answer the world before they answer their own calling. Yet the law remains unchanged. The man who cannot hold his attention cannot hold his wealth. Riches follow controlled attention, not scattered motion. Every fortune was first built in sustained thought, one idea held so firmly, so constantly, that life had no choice but to make it real. Controlled attention is the doorway to infinite intelligence. It is how the mind plugs into power. When you hold a thought with faith, emotion, and repetition, that thought becomes charged. It becomes magnetic, and it begins to pull to itself the people, ideas, and plans needed to make it visible. But distraction breaks that charge. It interrupts the current. It causes the builder to stop and restart again and again until all momentum is lost. One message, one interruption, one glance at something meaningless, and the focus dies. And when focus dies, purpose weakens. Let me speak plainly. The distracted man is not harmless. He is dangerous to himself. He cannot think long enough to finish anything. He cannot build long enough to harvest. He cannot even sit with his own thought without fleeing into something shallow. He becomes a man of fragments, a man who begins many lives but completes none. You cannot serve two masters, and you cannot serve 1,000 thoughts. The mind must be ruled. It must be led. It must be given a single command. The man who commands his attention commands his life. And the man who obeys every distraction becomes a servant to the world's chaos. Look to Henry Ford. He had one thought, the motor car for every man. He held that thought through ridicule, sabotage, financial attack, and personal strain. But he did not scatter. He did not dilute. He did not divide himself. He focused, and the world adjusted to his thought. Look to Edison. He held the thought of electric light so strongly that no failure could shake it loose. For over 1,000 trials, he remained in the same current of thought. That is why he succeeded, not because of genius, but because of sustained attention. Now examine yourself. Do you answer every noise? Do you open every door that knocks? Do you sit down to build and then flee to entertainment? If so, do not say you are working. Say you are drifting. For the mind that drifts cannot dominate. It can only react. Distraction is not a result of the world. It is a result of disobedience in the soul. You have permitted too many voices. You have made your mind public property. You have allowed the outer world to dictate your inner rhythm. But now that rhythm must be reclaimed, begin each day with a vow. I will hold my thought. I will protect my mind. I will serve only the aim that builds me. Then make war on every intruder. Block all that does not align. Shut every door that pulls you away. Silence every voice that offers nothing but delay. You do not need more time. You need more command. You do not need more tools. You need more clarity. You do not need more energy. You need more focus. And that focus must be protected like a king protects his throne. Write your chief aim and place it where you can see it. Before every task, ask, does this serve my aim? If it does not, reject it. If it does, obey it, and do not deviate, even for a moment. Train your mind to follow a straight line. That is how wealth is built. Let me now give you the truth. The world will not reward the distracted. It will not slow down for your interruptions. It will not organize itself for your convenience. If you do not rule your attention, someone else will, and you will work for the man who does. So now speak this aloud, and let it become the shield of your thought. I serve one aim. I protect my mind. I reject noise. I focus with power. I command my attention. Say it again. Say it until your mind sharpens. Say it until every distraction grows quiet. Say it until the silence becomes your strength. You were not made to drift. You were made to direct. And the man who directs his attention directs his destiny. Part 8. The reward of purity, the riches that follow inner order. A man is rewarded not for what he does once, but for who he becomes through daily thought. Riches are not accidents. They are not rewards for charm, nor luck, nor shallow ambition. Riches are the result of internal purification. A man becomes rich when his mind ceases to oppose wealth and begins to serve it. The 7 sins I have taught you are not merely behaviors. They are conditions of mind. They are voices of destruction. Doubt whispers against your power. Envy gnaws at your inheritance. Indecision cancels every plan. Complaint attracts poverty. Fear silences your voice. Sloth wastes your potential. Distraction scatters your soul. And yet none of these sins are permanent. None are part of your divine design. They are acquired, learned, fed through habit, and therefore they can be removed. The man who is defeated in thought can be reborn in thought. The same mind that allowed these invaders can now cast them out. You must decide now, am I ready to live in order? Am I ready to discipline my inner world so that the outer begins to obey? Am I ready to speak no word, permit no emotion, repeat no habit that does not serve my aim? For this is what God requires of the man who asks for riches, inner obedience. God cannot pour blessing into a vessel that leaks. He cannot bless the man whose faith wavers. He cannot bless the man whose envy corrupts. He cannot bless the man who speaks against his own future. He cannot bless the one who waits instead of decides, who drifts instead of directs. But the man who purifies his mind of these sins becomes a magnet for increase. Why? Because he is in harmony with the law. He no longer resists wealth with fear. He no longer competes in envy. He no longer delays through doubt. His whole being is prepared. And what he is prepared for, life must deliver. Understand this. Every blessing begins as a mental state. Peace, clarity, joy, confidence, certainty, these are the spiritual preconditions of wealth. When the mind is clean, the path is clear. When the thoughts are definite, the steps are steady. When the speech is ordered, the results are sure. This is not theory, this is law. The law of increase says, that which is orderly will multiply. The law of cosmic habit force says, that which is repeated becomes real. The law of faith says, the thing I believe, I shall receive. And all three laws serve the man of internal purity. Now ask yourself, have I tolerated sin in thought? Have I allowed fear to whisper without reply? Have I spoken complaint as if it were harmless? Have I permitted sloth to delay my aim? Have I served distraction more than I have served God? If the answer is yes, then know this. Today can be your new beginning, not through effort alone, but through decision. Decide now to remove every false voice. Decide now to discipline your thought as a soldier disciplines his sword. Decide now to rise, not just in body, but in mental order. What does this look like? It looks like waking and declaring your aim before any other voice is heard. It looks like rejecting every thought that does not serve that aim, without delay, without debate. It looks like blessing others instead of envying them. It looks like speaking power instead of complaint. It looks like moving forward in the presence of fear. It looks like deciding quickly and changing slowly. It looks like building daily, even when no one sees. And the reward? Oh, the reward is beyond gold. The reward is internal fire. The reward is spiritual certainty. The reward is the calm that says, I know what I build. I know who I serve. I know what I shall have. But yes, there will be outer reward as well. The wealth you imagined, the home you pictured, the freedom you desire, the respect of your children, the silence of financial worry, the command of your time, the ability to give, to build, to lead, to expand. You will walk into rooms and the atmosphere will change. You will speak and your words will carry weight. You will plan and your plans will manifest. You will move with such clarity that others will ask, how does he do it? But you will know. It began when you removed the 7 poisons and replaced them with power. So now, let us affirm it. Let us burn it into the mind. Let us speak not with hope, but with authority. Let this be the declaration that reshapes your inner world and therefore your entire life. I remove every sin from my mind. I permit no envy, fear, complaint, or delay. I speak with faith. I walk with power. I build with God. I am obedient to the law of increase. I am the man who attracts riches because I have earned them. Repeat this not once. Repeat it daily. Repeat it until your thoughts obey. Repeat it until your actions align. Repeat it until your identity changes. For what you repeat, you become. And what you become, you command. This is the reward of purity, not just to wish for wealth, but to become the man to whom wealth must come. Not just to avoid sin, but to build holiness of thought. Not just to hope for blessing, but to live in such a way that blessing is the only possible outcome. And so I leave you with this one law. Internal order produces external riches. Hold it, repeat it, live it, obey it, and you shall have all you desire.